habits. Long-term change are changes that are transformed into habits. So habits, yes, habits is the end, yeah, the end of the transformation for me to be the good public speaker. So diplomacy cannot be separate from communication science. One of them is public speaking. Uh, for that, for those, okay, sorry. One of them is public speaking, and then negotiating. So communication science is the core of diplomacy. So if you want to be a good leader and the future leader, you must be improve your communication style, your communication knowledge, your communication size. Yeah, it's for me. Let's us discuss. Thank you, Elena.
Thank you, Mr. Shafi Effendi. It is such interesting topic. I also agree that communication is actually the key of diplomacy, such as public speaking and also negotiating. So, without any further ado, let's we will turn the time over into our next speaker, which is Mr. Muhammad Zulfadli bin Rosli. Our next speaker is the former participants of Doha OIC Youth Capital 2019, and he is also the chairperson of Model OIC 2019. And he will share his experience in Model OIC, and also he will share tips for making a working paper and drafting a resolution. To Mr. Muhammad Zulfadli bin Rosli, this time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Elena. First of all, I would like to say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A good night to Mr. Shafi Effendi, the president of OIC Asia, Ms. Astrid, the secretary, and also to my fellow speakers, Dr. Sharani, and to all the participants for tonight's webinar. Before I start my topics and my second session, I would like to just introduce a brief introduction of myself. I was partly involved in a Model United Nations before this for several years, but I was only focused involved in MOIC specifically since 2019. When I was selected as the finalist and the final delegates in a Doha International MOIC in Qatar in July 2019. And after that, I think I was very honored and I was very blessed actually when Indonesia specifically invited me as to be the chairman and the chairpersons for their first ever Model OIC back in November 2019. Okay, I think without further ado, I would like to just start my sharing session with introduction on what is a draft resolution and what is a working paper. So basically, a draft resolution is a document which contains all the solutions to the agenda. My stance is that I believe that a draft resolution should always be done in a committee presence of all the delegates. The making of a draft resolution is also part of the committee where delegates have to make decisions together. For me, as the chairman, if I were the chairman of the committee, I would not allow my delegates to do a any pre-made draft resolution before the conference. This is to avoid, since they will be like, because they will be making a solutions, a pre-made solutions. So I'm afraid that the delegates will tend to do a to come up with the solutions basically that are not addressed during the conference, which is why one of the reason why I would not allow the delegates to do a pre-made draft resolution. But what you can do is like you can actually finish your do a working paper before you go to your first day of committee. So when should you do a draft resolution? So you should do what you should do is that once you actually finish your first day of committee, you will get an idea of what is being discussed, and from there then you can only actually start to make your own draft resolutions. One more thing that I would like to address here is that people tend to delegates tend to be afraid during their committee session, because they tend to they tend to not to, they're afraid of being harsh to the other delegates. They want to be nice to everyone, which for me is that's not always the necessarily to do, because part of the committee is actually we want the chairman, we actually want the delegates to fight with each other. We want them to fight during the course of the event, but because when they fight, then only then we will see the bigger issues, that the most important issues that needs to be addressed. So, but despite that of the fighting, I would like so to address that during the draft resolution session, the delegates actually need to come together as one and as a united community and to make a resolution. It is also the part where the negotiation takes place. So technically, the resolution should be called a draft resolution before it is voted upon, and then call a resolution after it is successfully passed during voting. So what are the difference between working paper and draft resolution? So basically, working paper is the technically and textually it's similar, working paper and resolution, but what makes it different is that working paper, it's more like you use a plain English, and it's not, you don't use any formality or any format. So it's just basically you drafting your points or whatever that have been discussed in a sheet of paper. But draft resolution is essentially you turning your working paper and you use formality in your resolutions, and where you will need to do certain format. And I will discuss this format later on in my session tonight. So yeah. So what are the essential points a resolutions should have? The most important thing in a good resolution is that it should be multidimensional. So what I mean by multidimensional here is that your resolution should cover every aspect of the agenda, the agenda that have been discussed by all the delegates, not just by you or not just by you and your friends, because that will not make a good resolution. Because a good resolution paper needs to have a dimensional resolution, where it means that everyone's need to input, every delegates or every countries that are present during the committee session needs to actually give input to the resolution. That is one part of the essential points a good resolution should have. And another part, secondly, it would be like the solution that the delegates suggest should be always be practical. This is very important because we don't want delegates or countries that pitching in the points, but the solutions or the problems are not practical, or maybe the solutions that they suggest are not implementable. So always keep in mind that as a delegates, you want your solutions to be implementable, so that the higher authorities, whoever is going to be in charge of the resolution one day, they can actually implement your resolutions. So it's not just like a resolutions like fully of fishy words or like flowery words, but it's more important that how it can be implementable. And another thing is it's always nice and bear in mind to always, as a delegates, to make sure that you don't suggest anything that is not within your committee. This is always happening. I always see delegates, they always try to bring in their personal issues. I mean, it's not wrong to discuss your personal issues of your countries, but make sure that it's aligned to your committee topics. Because, for example, if you're in the committee of foreign ministers, but suddenly you want to talk about health or educations, so there's a clash of your points and also the committee topics. So avoid doing so, because you will make everyone confused and you will make the conference more complicated, because that's the reason of where the delegates are being assigned to each and specific topics or the committee topics, because the chairman wants the delegates to actually focus more on the topics provided and to give more of their inputs on the topics. My next point would be, okay, let's talk about resolution writing. So basically a resolution is, your resolution has three parts. The first one is the header, which is the intro. I would like to say the intro. And the second part will be the preambulatory clauses, which I will explain later on. And follow up with the last part, which is the operative clauses, which I will also be explained later on. Okay, the first part, which is the header. So what does header needs to have? So header needs to have four components. I believe for me as a chairperson, I would like to see a delegates submitting a resolution with header that has four components. So in header, I would like to see where you guys stated the name of the committee. This is very important because we don't want to be messed up with the other committee, because there will be, for example, if there is 3 or 4 committee being held simultaneously on the same day. So when you guys are submitting the paper, as the chairman, as the board members of the board OIC, we would like to see the name of the committee. So if you are basically under the committee of foreign minister, so what you can do is like you just write down a name of committee, foreign minister. So follow up by the name of the topic. So what's your name of the topic? So if your topic are more focusing on the climate change, so what you can say is, what you can do is you just write down name of the topic and climate change. In the last part in header is the name of the signatories. So what is signatories? For those who are very new to the model OIC or any model diplomacy, so basically signatories is basically a list of the names of the countries that are being present in the committee. So you cannot put countries that are not present in the committee, even though the countries are actually listed in the forum. For example, when delegates of maybe delegates of Iran are not present during the whole time of the conference, so Iran cannot be put in the working paper or the resolutions. this is very important because as a chairman, we would like to see who actually agreed and who actually present on this conference, and those who are actually agreed on the resolution. So moving on to the second part of the resolutions, which is the preambulatory clauses. So what is preambulatory? So basically, preambulatory is like to identify your problems, or to identify the issues that you plan to solve. So, and it also can be mixed with the recall of the past international or the actions. So as the delegates, you guys can put two components in your preambulatory. The first part is the problems or the issues, and the second part is the recalling of the past international actions. What have been done before this that you on the specific issue, on the certain issues, on the certain problems that you guys want to put in the on your resolution paper. So my tips for the delegates is to always to write down the problems that you want to address in a plain English first. So you basically just do it in a normal plain English. You don't need to worry about the formatting and how you actually needs to use your words and certain rules and everything. Just do whatever that had been discussed and whatever been that you guys are agreed to put as a problems or the issues that you want to put in the resolution paper. Just do it in a plain English first. That would be the first step. And the second step, or the step 2, is to actually you take one of the preambulatory clauses and you attach it in the beginning of your problem. For example, if you want to, I believe what I would like to request from Ms. Astrid to provide the participants for tonight's the examples of the preambulatory clauses, and I believe we can do that. Yeah. And I want us to share, because I think even Mayastri, we can share to those who are interested. Just let me know and give me a text or give me a comment on my Instagram or any of my social media, and let me know if you want examples of the preambulatory clauses. So yeah, back to the example of the common phrases. So, for example, if your committee wants to address concern on climate change. So, if your plain English is like climate change is affecting blah 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 blah. So, what you can do when you bring it to your resolution, so you take one of the common phrases of preambulatory and attach it in the beginning of your sentences just now. So instead of just writing down climate change is affecting blah blah blah, so you use preambulatory. For example, in this case, I would like to use concern. So what you can do is like concern, then you put comma, climate change is affecting blah blah blah. So that is the way it makes different from doing it in a working paper and doing it in a draft resolution. Again, the next step is to always to underline the phrases. So for example, the phrases that I give example just now is concern, right? So in the draft resolution later on, you guys need, as the delegates, needs to actually underline. So what you need to underline concern. So concern, comma, underline, climate change is affecting blah blah blah. And always end the phrases with comma, not full stop. This is the common mistake by the delegates. It's always people always mistake that they tend to actually put down full stop instead of comma. So always remember, for preambulatory clauses, every time you guys ends your words or you ends your sentences, actually ends it with comma instead of full stop. Okay. So that we are done on the preambulatory clauses. So moving on to the operative clauses. So what is operative clauses? So basically, if preamble just now, what I explained on preambles is represent the problems. So operative clauses represent the solutions. Yeah, so ideally, you should have more operative than preamble clauses. So always make sure as delegates you have these many of operative clauses, but just this many of preamble clauses, because we want to have more solutions than problems. Because as a chairman, we don't want to have more problems but less solution, but instead we want more solutions rather than and less problems. Yeah. Okay. Again, basically in operative clauses, it's similar steps to the preamble clauses. First, what you can do is just you write down the solutions in a plain English. Always, my tips is always just write it down in a plain English first. Just write it down in a plain English. Okay. So secondly, once you are done writing it down, so only then you can actually, so it's more easier for you to actually add on. So what I mean by add on is that you can actually add on. You can tambah the operative clauses again at the beginning of your sentences, and this will describe the use of operative clauses will describe. It gives more emphasize. It emphasizes your meanings of your sentences. So those who will read your resolution, they will more emphasize and more focus on the actions need to be done to implement the solutions. And again, as just like in preamble clauses, in operative clauses, you always need to underline the operative phrases. For example, in your operative clauses, what you can do is, yeah, so you underline your operative clauses, then but you don't end with a comma. Okay. I mentioned if for preamble clauses, you end your sentences with comma, but for operative clauses, you need to end your sentences with semicolon. You know, the one with the one dot and the little comma on the below. Yeah, you need to end your sentences with semicolon. And again, difference with preamble and operative clauses is that when you make your points for operative clauses, you start your points with numbers. So if you give your first solutions with a number 1, then follow up with a second solution with number 2, third solution with number 3, and so on. But don't finish your sentences with comma, but instead finish your sentences with semicolon. And I believe the organizers of this web seminar, I believe, again, I would like to request to Mr. Astrid, Miss Astrid, to provide everyone, the participants for tonight, our last year's resolutions paper, so the delegates can actually see more clear on what I mean by what is a preamble clauses and what is meant by operative clauses, and they can actually see clearly on the formatting and the structures of the paper. So yeah. Okay, that brings me to my last points. So just basically just to conclude everything. So for me, the tips to actually do your working paper or resolutions, to keep it short. Of course, we don't want to. It's not always all about a flowery words. I mean, it's not about how long your sentences is or how flowery your words is, but it's more on how when a people read it on the first time, they can catch what you mean by that, you know, because that's more important. That's why I always emphasize my delegates to keep their words short, but emphasize on the points, you know. This is where yeah, so when you keep your words sentences short, you tend to present your solutions more directly. Yeah, this is what I mean, because we don't want when people read it, they tend to make, oh, is this, are you saying A or are you saying B? Yeah, that's one thing we need to avoid as a delegates. That's why you need to keep your sentences short so that it can present your solution directly. And the last tips would be try to use formal vocabulary. Um, Again, even though I mentioned just now to use plain English, but that doesn't mean that you are allowed to use informal vocabulary. So try to practice and try to practice more into your formal vocabulary so that your resolution paper will look and will sound more formal rather than just just a working paper. And I guess that's about it. I think again, as I mentioned earlier, I will be very happy to help any of you guys. And I think the organizer can actually forward my Instagram or my emails, and also try to be. Don't be afraid to approach me, even though we are miles, 1,000 miles away, but we are just one click away. So you can to a new delegates and who wish to join any model diplomacy that it can be a model OIC or model United Nations or any other model diplomacy. Um, just for I would like to encourage that try it first. Don't be afraid. Don't be trying to be intimidated by everyone. Because when I first started my model diplomacy, I was just like you guys too. I was very timid. I was very intimidated. I was thinking that I cannot do this. I think I'm no one like compared to the other delegates. They know more on the topics than me. But I tend to actually tend my weakness to more as a strength, as my opportunity to actually learn. So I think that's where I learned the most. Actually, I don't really learn academically because, believe it or not, my academic is more because I hold a degree in a Bachelor of Science, so I'm more academically in a sciences field. But if you guys are wondering how can I actually be involved in diplomacy, in international relations, because this is where I learn the most. Because when I meet people, even when I attend certain international forums, I tend not to be, I want to be the best, or I want to be here to actually prove to everyone that I can do this. But rather than I want to actually be there and learn as much as I can. And I take the platform and the opportunity to actually, yes, as a learner. And I believe also as a Ummah, as the Muslim Ummah, is that even our Prophet Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace be upon him, always encourage us to never stop learning, right? So don't stop learning. Don't try to be afraid. Don't try to be intimidated by everyone. But as take it as a challenge and always be open to learning something new. And again, I hope that I will receive a few of your maybe emails that any of your questions. I would like to address your personal questions to me. You can address me to my Instagram or to my email. You can ask the organizer. They will provide you with my social platform and also my email addresses. And I would like to I'm more than happy then to help you guys with your journey in your embarkment journey on your first model diplomacy. And with that, I would like to thank you so much, the organizer, for inviting me as your guest speakers tonight. I'm very honored and I'm very pleased. And I can't wait if one day we have the chance to meet again. I'm more than happy to help the government of Indonesia and also to the organizers, and also to the OIC Youth of Indonesia. I'm more than happy to be someone there again and to be fly to Indonesia again and to help you guys with your next event, hopefully, inshallah, one day. Yeah. Okay. And I would like to pass the floor to Miss Elvina. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Fad Rosli, for the presentation. It's such interesting topics. as we know that usually some beginners find some difficulties, especially at making working paper or drafting resolution. And you clearly mentioned some do's and don'ts, and hopefully it will be very useful for them in the next agenda. So before we move to our next speaker, I would like to remind all the participants, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat box because the committee will select some questions. And without any further ado, our next speaker is our advisory board member of OIC Youth Indonesia, Mr. Sharoni Rafi, and he will share his experience in Model OIC, and also he will explain Model OIC as a tool for recommending policies in OIC context. To Mr. Sharoni Rafi, please time and place is yours.
Okay, thank you, Elena, for having me here. And hello to Mr. Fadil, and then previously has delivered good presentation, and then as well as our president, Mr. Shafi'i Effendi, who gave what we say introduction for this session. During this session, I would like to tell you my experience during my students' years, yeah, because I involved in OIC youth when I was in Istanbul for a PhD program. Because Istanbul is a place where OIC Youth Forum has a headquarters. So Istanbul became epicentrum for youth OIC Youth Forum especially. And during this webinar, during this seminar, I would like to present presentation. Allow me to show you some picture during the process of OIC Youth Academy. So Mr. Fat Rosli already explained you the detail of the program, how to deal with final communique. Yeah. So in United Nations, they have United Resolution, UN resolution, while in OIC, they have final communique. So previously, Brother Fat Rosli already explained you how to draft the resolution, how to deal with the forum, how to respect the other speakers, how to accommodate your foreign policy, because during the process of model of OIC, you have to follow your country's foreign policy. You cannot make imagination based on your opinion. Yeah, that's why sometimes this forum is like it's very serious, because you need to do research what your foreign policy, what your leaders say, and then in other hand, you also meet with young people that have less less formal. So during based on my experience, we spend we spend a week for the forum, and then 3 or 4 days for formal session, but the other we have time for traveling. So that's the plus from OIC model and UN model. So let me explain you chapter by chapter or page by page from my presentation in this PowerPoint. First of all, next, this one is OIC youth strategy. So OIC has a wing that's called OIC youth. Yeah, UN has UN youth, and then NATO has NATO youth, and so on. And then in OIC, OIC youth has legitimacy from OIC senior, because in every event, in every official meeting, our representative has special seat as what you say, monitor, or what you say, the honor to attend the session. So OIC as an institution, OIC youth, yeah, as an institution have concern on to prevent youth radicalization, to ensure economic well-being of youth, and then to raise education level, and then to ensure youth participation in every aspect of development, and then of course to achieve cooperation among youth. Yeah. So I would like to highlight the aspect of cooperation. So from one OIC meeting to another meeting, allow me to interact with our brothers from OIC countries. It's enable us to make connection, to make cooperation, and then it's helped me to expand to widen my what we say, perspective to see the problem. And then when we grow up, we play key role in our sector. For example, now I'm teaching at the university. My former friend also teaching at the university. Some of them become a minister. Some of our friend from Somalia, I met him 2011, and then now he became a minister in Somalia, Ministry of Youth. Yeah, that's situation started from our meeting in OIC youth. Yeah. And then the next picture. This is the picture in the Kazan, yeah, Kazan 2012. Oh sorry, 2012 ya, 2012 ya, 2012 in Kazan, Republic of Tatarstan. So based on my experience, OIC Youth has good connection with the government of Tatarstan. Tatarstan is part of Russian Federation, and then majority of the population of Tatarstan are Muslim. And then during the OIC Youth meeting, the government allow us to use their Parliamentary Building. So the official allow our organization to use the symbol of the country. For example, the president attending the session, in the other session, the government allow us to use their Parliamentary Building. So that is me representing Indonesia. So during MOIC, we use our flag to raise our concern, what Indonesian concern on this issue, that issue, and so on. This is the formal session. So during this session, during this forum, the situation is very serious. Yeah, as mentioned by Brother Father Rusri, during this session, we have to be diplomat. We have to be, imagine you are a diplomat, you are representing your country, and then you need to speak. You have to speak based on your government's foreign policy. We have to do that. And then to do that, of course, you have to prepare well. You need to research, short research about foreign policy and the current issues. Yeah, and then the next one, it's also the same years, 2012 in Kazan, Tatarstan. So the guy with the black jacket, the black okay, jacket, yeah, trouser, the black one, yeah, from Kazakhstan. Yeah, this man is from Kazakhstan. I forgot the name. And then the other one with the t-shirt is from Iraq. And then this is me in Parliamentary Building. So during the session, they allow us to use their facilities. And then from those pictures, we can highlight that we do serious things, but with youth approach, because the young generation need to feel the atmosphere of the building, need to feel the atmosphere of the session, they need to feel the atmosphere of how to debate. Yeah, because through this experience, through this model, it's allow you to do practice. For example, me as a student of international relation, I read a lot of book about diplomacy, but I didn't have any chance to do what diplomat does during the negotiation, during the session in UN, in OIC, and so on. Yeah, so OIC give you a space, give you a place to conduct, to try how to be a diplomat. That's the picture from 2012 from Kazan. And then next slide is also picture. So in this session, I just expose the pictures and then I explain the meaning of the picture. This one is 2014. This was in Kuala Lumpur. Beside me, Mr. Ade Budiman. He is an expert in parliament. Yeah, the other one is an activist in Indonesia. So this is our 2014, and then now we work in the other place. So this is the situation. And then the next slide, this is also in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, we do, I attend, the first one is first global summit. In OIC, they have the branch in every country, they have a model of youth, model of OIC. And then every country has the right to conduct, to organize the event, to copy the curriculum from Istanbul, from OIC Center, and then every state need to adopt how to deal with OIC Diplomatic Academy in every years. Yeah, so every country has their own MOIC, and then in 1 or 2 years they have global summit. Yeah, global summit is an event that assembling whole member of MOIC from whole OIC countries. Yeah, last year or this year, Indonesia already organized an event, MOIC, that held in Parliamentary Building. It's already passed, and then we hope Indonesia also can be what you say, organizer for global summit. So during the global summit, every representative from OIC countries will send their representative. So far, Indonesia used to send the large ambassadors, yeah, the large group for the event in Istanbul, and so on. So the OIC event allow us to know each other with brother from different countries. For example, the guy with the blue one is from the UK. They are from UK, but representing. I forgot what he was represent. If I'm not mistaken, he was representing Saudi Arabia, and then the other one is from he is student in he was student in Malaysia representing Syria, and then the other one, the woman, is from UK also, representing Uni Emirat Arabs. So full of picture, as I told you before. And then the next one, in OIC, beside the Global Summit, MOIC, OIC also has OIC Young Leaders. It's held in 2016 in Istanbul. So OIC Young Leaders also allow us to meet with the young leader from different countries, especially from OIC youth countries. So through this meeting, it's allow us to make connection, to connecting the dot, to bridge the connection, and then to collaborate in the future. This is one, I forgot the name, from Malaysia. He was Secretary General of MBM, Majelis Belia Malaysia, and now he already retired, and then succeeded by I forgot the name. So we have a lot of friends from different countries during this meeting. Yeah. So this picture explain the faces or representative from different countries, different culture. Yeah, it's enrich us. We live in different what to say, different culture, different language, but we can speak in one word as ummah. So I can tell you that based on my experience again, yeah, I met a friend from United Nations Alliance of Civilization, UNAOC, yeah, United Nations Alliance of Civilization. It's kind of OIC, UN. We meet the friend from Europe, from America, from UK, and so on. During the meeting, we don't have we do simulation. We do practice diplomatic things, but at the end of the day, we don't have chemistry. Yeah, we don't have chemistry. So after the session end, and then bye, we don't have the feeling for connection. Yeah, the chemistry is not connected with among us. But in OIC countries, it's feel like after the meeting, we still continuing say hello and then connecting through social media. I still keep contact with friends from Somalia, from Egypt, from Middle Eastern countries, and so on. Yeah, that's we are doing in this OIC. And then next session, next slide also, we have different colors, we have different faces, different colors, different languages. And then these guys now they grow very rapid, and then they become an influenced person in their countries. Yeah, this one is Sefinch. At that time, Sefinch is nobody, still nobody. But now she became deputy director of OIC for Eurasia, yeah, Eurasia, OIC for Eurasia. And then this one from I forgot this man. but he is businessman. This is our brother from Bangladesh. This one from Ireland. Yeah, they at the time they were representing FMCU. Yeah, the youth Muslim community in Europe. So they are very authoritative for sounding Islamic issues in Europe. And then this one, yeah, this one from Palestine, this one from Pakistan, oh no, Afghanistan, and then this one from Iraq. Yeah, you can see the picture. And then this is also, yeah, we have, this is Saliha, and then this is Moses, and this is from Palestine. This I forgot the name. He's from Kashmir, and then is from Syria. This is from Syria also. So at the time we were facing the issue of Arab Spring. Yeah, at the time we have to deal with an issue with Arab crisis, especially regime change in Syria as well as in Palestine. So at the time we gave our full support for our friend from Syria. Yeah, we allow her to give a speech, special speech, to explain what exactly happened in your country. Yeah, so through this connection also allow us to ask our friend, not to ask Google what happened in those countries, what happened in OIC countries, but to ask them. We trust them 100% because we make connection based on us brotherhood. So we trust them and then ask them what happened in your countries, and then what do you want for the future. So after hearing their opinion, then we can create a solution and then deliver the solution to our leaders. That's the experience we got from OIC. And then I think I will not explain this one. And then, yeah, now we deal with the Trump phenomena and then international disorder, Syrian crisis, Yemen crisis, Rohingya, Palestine, and so on. Islamophobia in the West, post-truth trend, and then COVID-19 as we deal now. So probably if MOIC organized this year, probably these issues will become mainstream in the session, I guess. And then, of course, after joining MOIC, you will get global mindset, yeah, because you connected with so many people from different countries, different cultures, and then strengthening OIC roles, collaboration, and as a youth, you have a role to play. You need to prepare yourself for the betterment of your country. As my last advice is, because I already have 20 minutes, and then my last advice is, yes, those who study in international relations, it's not late for you to join OIC Youth Indonesia if you are in Indonesia, because when you join OIC, you will involve with our young generation that prepare how to prepare themselves as a diplomat. Because if you graduated from university and then join Ministry of Foreign Affairs, then you will lack of knowledge, you will lack of skill for diplomatic, you will lack of connection. Yeah, that's you have to deal with those situations. But imagine if I join Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or the president appointed me as a president or Minister of Foreign Affairs. I will use the instrument, I will use the connection that has been built so many years to strengthening our collaboration to make cooperation with OIC countries. So I think that's all I can explain in this evening. And then thank you for your participation. Thank you for your attention. And then thank you to Mr. President Shafi'i Effendi, and then Fat Rosli, and then Astrid as a Secretary General. And then I give the floor to moderator, Mrs. Elena Cafarera, Ambassador Elena Cafarera. Thanks, yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sharon Rafi. We would like to thank for such interesting topic, especially for providing us a new insight about MOIC as a tool for recommending policies in OIC context. So move to our next agenda, which is Q&A sessions. We already have some questions here. The first question is directed to Mr. Shafi Effendi. The question is, usually some people feel nervous when they want to speak on the stage, and how to handle it. Oh yeah, that's right, because some people feel nervous before they speak on the stage, and as the young leader and as the experienced one to talk in front of the public, how do you handle the nervous before you talk on stage?
Okay, thank you for the question. First, you must have the positive mindset in the stage. Positive mindset about you and about the people. So the first time, change your mindset, positive mindset, and then your action in the stage and or in the forum. So the first mindset. Number two, if you want to handle the participant, you must be know, especially the participant. Yeah, the participant. If you know them, you can manage the stage, manage the situation. So mindset, and then you knows the area, knows the people. Yeah, and then you must have the positive energy. So positive energy attract the energy, a positive idea. So positive energy in your control, in your heart, in your thing. So okay, you must be keep the positive energy, keep the positive mindset, and you know the area. You can get the forum, you can get the participant. So I think so, Elena.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shafi Effendi. So we have 3 points here. Yes. First is change the mindset. Second is know your audience, and the third is be positive. Thank you for the answer. Hopefully, it will answer your questions. The second question is directed to Mr. Fadrosli. So to Mr. Fadrosli, hold on. In making draft resolution, is it only a country to make a draft resolution, or is it all countries that present in the council? Please, time is yours.
Thanks. I think if I heard the questions and if I understand the questions correctly, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but um, it's actually all the delegates that are present in the committee needs to work together, because the purpose of the drafting resolution is where the negotiations takes place. That's why I always emphasize the delegates. Um, Please put more efforts and please take place in the negotiation in the drafting resolution session, because this is the part where you get to actually disagree with the points. So for example, if you're representing if you're representing Malaysia, and as a delegates for Malaysia, if you think the problems addressed and the solutions being addressed are not um, implementable enough for you, so you can raise these issues among your other delegates, and you can actually disagree. And this is why it's very important for you, for everyone, actually for every countries, representative countries that are present during the committee, to actually be active during the drafting resolution, because you don't want to be at the end of the day, you don't want um, to see the resolutions, but you don't disagree with the points being made on the resolution paper. Again, I think if I understand your questions correctly, every country needs to be active. Every country needs to takes place during the resolutions. Yeah, so it's not just one country, but everyone's as the delegates need to be to have their voice and to raise their voice on the question, on the problems or on the solutions that are mutually agreed to be writing down on the resolution paper. Thank you, Ms. Elena.
Thank you for the answer, Mr. Fadrosli. Actually, I also got one interesting question from the participants. Is directed to Mr. Fadrosli again. It's if the issue in the topic area are caused
Yes.
by the country that I'm representing for. For example, like Iran nuclear deal. How can I defend
Yeah.
myself as a delegate of Iran?
Okay. Can I see the questions in text? Because I don't see it in the chat.
Oh yeah, because he asked me privately. Okay, wait, let me copy it. Okay, copy to everyone. Yeah.
Okay. Let me have a read first. If the issues in the area are caused and by the country that I'm representing, as well like Iran, how can I defend myself as the delegate of Iran? This is justice. How can I defend myself in that custom? Okay. Okay, this is always the hard part of representing countries that a bit, I would say, not problematic, but I would say a country that are involved in political issues. But again, as a delegate, don't use, because again, I think even Dr. Sharini would agree with me. As a delegate, you are not, I don't think that we are actually open to picking up, choosing our own preferred countries. It's always the organizers or the board members of the model diplomacy that actually choose the countries for the delegates. So if by chance that you are actually being selected for a country that are quite hard for you, but example for like Iran, as an example, they have many um, way of, so um always remember this. Always emphasize the delegates that try not to take it personally, but try to put yourself in the shoes of the local people. So, for example, again, is I like when Dr. Sharini mentioned just now, because being in the conference, you actually being or representing the country. So you are actually being the minister of the country. So, for example, if you're Indonesian, so representing Iran, you are no longer an Indonesian. So you have to put this mindset away. So you have to try your best to be an Iranian. You know, this is why again Dr. Sharini emphasized just now that it's very important for the delegates to actually do research on the countries that you are going to represent, you know, because, and what kind of research do you need to? It's always start with the country's policy to know on the countries on so alliance. These four components are very important when you represent your countries. So wrongly. So I think it's very important to just avoid on the topics and try not to because again you can divert or channel the topics align or according to your country's policies, because again it's very important to really know your country very well and to actually understand the country's policy. And again in the committee, we don't, as a chairman, we don't always expect the delegates to know the country very well, but it's just as long as you know the country's policy, you understand what your country stands for, like what's the philosophy of the countries, what the country stands for. Do they against this or do they against that? You know, so if you think that you're not sure on the issues on the topics, I think it's I think maybe Dr. Sharini can help me on this. But again, for me, I think it's best to actually try not to take part on the topics, but try to actually come up with representing the topics on the next session, because when you have your time, you can always try to actually represent the topics, so that you are trying to bring in the other delegates, or to convincing, actually you're actually trying to convince other countries to be in your to be your ally, so that they will understand France want to be thank you, Ms. Elena.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Rosley. So the next questions we have is directed to Mr. Sharani Rafi'i. So if in the council, as we know that OIC has different countries, member countries, and if we have different national interests, how do OIC handle it, especially in making policies regarding the MOIC resolutions?
Okay, thank you for the question. So yeah, OIC as an organization, they attempting to hear every aspect of the member. They will try to accommodate every problem that rise by the countries. So that's why at the beginning of the session, the chairman will ask every country to raise their concern. That's why in the first session, at the beginning of session, the chairman will give a chance to every country to raise their concern. They used to use the alphabetical concept to decide. For example, it will start with the A, B, Bangladesh, C, and so on, Indonesia, Iran, and so on, alphabetically, in order to make sure that we as a chairman is fair. We decide this decision based on alphabetical rule. Yeah, that's why the representative or the delegate will have a chance to raise the concern in 15 minutes. So 15 minutes is very decisive moment for every country to say what I want to raise in this topic or in this session. That's why every country will try to say, I have problem. My problem must be accommodated by OIC countries, by OIC. My problem must be enlisted in our resolution. Of course, every country will think same, but the chairman will decide fairly, will decide wisely what our common ground to deal with the situation. For example, the chairman will decide the middle path. For example, of course, every country will say we have the poor, we have the problem in economy, we have problem with poverty, we have problem with infrastructure, we have problem with radicalism, and so on. So every member will say, I want my problem accommodated in resolution. Okay, but at the end, the chairman will decide what are our main problem, and then what are our common problem, and then the resolution will be voted. If the countries cannot deal with the resolution, then they will go for voting, which resolution will be accepted. I think that's sometimes happen during the session. That's Elena. Probably not clear, or you can clarify.
So
Please.
basically, the topic that will be discussed is depends on the chairperson or even the vote in the forum. Is it what you mean?
First one, the chairman is playing key role. Yeah,
Key role.
chairman will play key role. Chairman will decide whether that resolution will pass or keep it under the table. Yeah.
Okay.
So whether we will go for voting or not, it's based on chairman decision. That's why the chairman have to play a significant role. He has to hear every countries. Yeah. He has to avoid his personal feeling. Based on my feeling, I think this decision is true. But he has to hear everyone. Yeah, that's the role of chairman. And then when chairman decided, okay, we will go for voting. The voting is the last. I think vote is the last option. That's why chairman, before going to voting, chairman will use the time to kill the time, to make sure we don't go to voting, but we can handle it based on perspective of common ground. That's the situation happened in during the process of making resolution. Elena.
Okay, thank you. It's very clear. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharani Rafi.
Welcome.
So, and thank you for all the speakers for answering all the questions. Unfortunately, our time is running short, and I think that's all from now. And for those who still have questions, OIC Youth will provide the link to the speaker's profile so you can visit them and ask them personally. And thank you for your attention. Thank you for all the participants, especially for all the speakers. We will see you at the next agenda. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.